All right, we are live. I don't know. I always say this. I don't know what week we're on. I feel like we're on week 10, week 11. We've been doing this for a little while. We call this the weekly marketing webinar with hashtag paid. The goal, truthfully, is to not be your typical webinar where we take up an hour. We just want to take up 20 minutes, but instead of taking up, we want to almost give you a little bit of knowledge or a perspective to take away, or maybe something new to think about with your team, with your marketing team. It's usually always related to influencer marketing or tangential to influencer marketing. And so, what I wanted to talk about today, the reason the person who's sitting either below or above me on the screen, or wherever you see him, is on here today, is this is someone who really understands the media landscape, has been working with some of the biggest creators to help them build out their media plays. So, whether that's a newsletter, podcast, some other things. And when it comes to working with creators, I don't think we should only box it in to pure influencer marketing campaigns. I think there's ways to work with creators in environments that they have a lot of trust and a strong relationship. And when it comes to newsletters where people are opting in and reading it every week, it's a massive opportunity. And so, enough out of me. Josh, thank you for joining me here, man.
Thanks for having me. Hope everybody's having a nice Wednesday so far. It's all the fun stuff we love to talk about, so this is gonna be good.
There it is. There it is. Let's start with this. I'd rather give you the floor for like 30 seconds. Where did you come from? What's your background? What are you doing? What is Smooth Media? Give us like a very short rundown of who you are and what the expertise is.
Where did I come from? That's a big question. That's
That
why
is
we need more than
that's the
20 minutes.
question.
In the professional sense, I am very much a product of the Morning Brew experience. I was at Michigan when Austin and Alex started it, got sucked up into the vortex of it, had no idea media and internet and creators could be this interesting and exciting, and got to join the company at a very early stage, launch products, hire people, do all sorts of weird stuff. And after the company got sold at the end of 2020, I was starting to look around, and that's when all of the creator buzz was really starting to pick up. But through the Morning Brew process, we were working with editorial people, quote unquote influencers, and we were starting to realize that there was a huge opportunity for them to build real businesses, have teams, resemble media companies in a more full sense. And I then quit to start consulting with these types of creators that had that ambition. And fast forward now to 2.5 years, we've got a 10-person Smooth Media team where we're able to provide different services to creators to help them do just that. And we've got a lot ahead of us, a lot of cool ideas, but it's been really great helping scale different content productions, work with brands in interesting ways, and it's a constantly changing space. As we know, the platforms, the types of creators, the opportunities available. We've just continued to ride the different waves and find the best ways to succeed with our partners.
Well, you spoke about a couple interesting things, but there's the rise of you and the team at Morning Brew. You take your learnings there, you start consulting, you start then figuring out, oh, there's a really big world, there's a really big opportunity here to help creators with their so-called their media businesses beyond just out of posting on social. And now a lot of the stuff that you and the team do at Smooth is focused around newsletters, amongst some other things. But in your mind, based off of your experience, why are we seeing this rise in creator newsletters that are more than just a vanity play, but like a really strong revenue play?
Yeah, it's funny. Like every couple of years, there's like, have we reached peak newsletter? Have we hit the end of it? Are people done with email? Is there a new app that's going to change it? And as long as I've been paying attention, email has always been very convenient. Everyone's got one. There's no company in the middle right there. And so for creators starting to realize that is I think that a lot of them have now spent years on their core platform and are realizing it's nice to be able to have a communication platform that you can have on your terms with the best parts of your audience. And so whether that's somebody who's bought merch or attended an event or signed up for updates, these are the people that have gone that extra click to say, I really like your stuff. I really want to engage with you. And so strategically owning the distribution, it being just a fantastic medium to communicate through. Videos are really high production. It's really hard to make these amazing videos. And sometimes the message is just better conveyed through text. It might be quicker for faster updates, might just be something that people would rather read than watch. So I think like the rise is an overall sophistication in the creator world. And it's always been this fantastic part of a media strategy.
Seems like it's a good indicator. when you're looking at creators, those that are thinking beyond social, those that are putting their skills and or their knowledge in whatever that field is that they talk to into a newsletter? Is there, have you found other indicators of like the best type of creators that run newsletters, or the types of creators that succeed when looking to build out their own newsletters?
That's a good question. As far as the types of creators, I think there's like a psychological I want to create in this channel and take it seriously. And so a lot of the creators that we work with might occupy a niche where the news flow is really interesting. And so keeping up to date with the news of the space that you're creating content about can be a huge service, curating, adding your perspective on it, building a habit to stay up to date. So when a creator happens to align with the news flow, I think that's really an amazing place to be. But otherwise, there's plenty of other like use cases that a lot of people fall into. Um, but it's a matter of the creator saying, hey, like, what do I want to put in this? What can I be consistent with? And there's other traps like constantly having a hot take. We always say is like a surefire way to make sure you run out of hot takes. Like to have one every Tuesday morning that you might be sending an email, it's a tough strategy to go down where you want to make sure that that's more opinion, that's special, that is something people can get excited about, not get too used to. So I don't know if that fully answers the question, but it's such a open canvas, just like any other creation platform, that people are always finding different ways to utilize it. Some people use it for comedy, some people use it just for little snippets, have a great day, and there's a lot of cool stuff out there.
Yeah, I like what you said there. And I think it makes a lot of sense for all marketers in this room to think about how are they potentially going to get involved with certain creators. It's almost like how you spoke about that it's news flow. So maybe it's something educational, or it's something topical, or something within a category that people want to know about, where things are happening all the time. And then you're slotting in and you're providing that, whether it's that curation or that expertise. How have you seen the relationship differ between, let's say, a creator that has followers on Instagram and then creators that have newsletter subscribers? Like, what's the difference in the way that they act, or maybe in the way that the audience will respect that creator?
Yeah, totally. I always, not always, typically, if we're talking about like a creator that is probably started on social these days, the newsletter subscribers are a lower subset. And so once again, those are the ones that have really opted in to say, I want to go deeper with you. I want to form a better relationship. I want, whenever you want to send me something, I want to make sure I see it. I might not see every Instagram story. I might not see every TikTok because of the algorithm, but this is a clear path to say, I want to follow you because I really like you. So it's not, if you've got 1 million followers, maybe some of them are like really jazzed about you. Email gives a better indicator of the quality of that center of the bullseye. And I think that it also shows itself in the comments. Social comments, like I love scrolling the TikTok comments. I like go right there before the video's over, and they're performative. They want to get likes, they want to be funny, but the replies on newsletter reveal a lot more truth about the person that is on the other end of it. It's private. People get replies. They really feel like there's a one-to-one. We're sitting there typing to each other. And so you learn so much more about your audience in that way that I think can then go inform what you do on the video side, what you do longer term outside of content. And so it's the same audience, but the way they interact in that private setting, I think is just a phenomenal discovery tool for a creator.
I think this is like such a nice lead into then talking about the opportunities with sponsorships, the opportunities with branded content in newsletters, in that I feel like we're used to now, we've almost become desensitized to 1 million followers, 1 million views. And we kind of expect that the people we're going to work with, if they have, let's call it 1 million followers on TikTok, and you're running a brand deal with them, you're going to reach that audience of 1 million people. Yet, if you, to your point, you find people, 5,000, 10,000 people from your audience in your network, they have higher intent. They're probably going to convert more. These are the people that actually want to take action and really are part of such audience connection with that creator. It might not seem like a massive number you're reaching, but I'd assume it's super effective. And so when a brand comes to you, or a marketer comes to you, or your team's reaching out and you're having discussions with them about why it's so valuable to get in Colin and Samir's newsletter, or Rod's, or Kat's, or whoever else it is, how do you go about explaining that opportunity for these marketers?
Right. So you get both components. And I think that's kind of where this conversation gets interesting between like the influencer benefits is that you're getting the influence of somebody that people like. This is not a no brand email sent by a random Joe Schmo that somehow ended up in your inbox. This is from somebody who you liked and you opted into that's got a real personality. Like we all talk about how media is shifting more toward following people than the institutions. These newsletters are sent typically by an individual or by somebody that you feel like you know very well. So you're getting the influence and you're getting that deeper connected audience, like you just had mentioned. And you're getting the benefits of email. You know it's not going to flop. There's a lot of consistency on email. You're going to have a pretty good open rate. You're going to have a good click through rate. You're going to make a good ad. And that real estate we like to do in our typical ad units with the newsletters that we run, you get your logo at the top. So it's a nice billboard effect. You get the association with the brand you're partnering with, the creator you're partnering with, and you get some real depth in an image to actually tell your story a little bit. And so there's a lot of different types of ways that newsletters can then feature the company that they might be partnered with. But we like to think about it as added storytelling and how can it be value add to the reader in that scenario. And so it's a good ad unit. Again, we've been doing it for a long time. Morning Brew, you see the hustle, you see the skim. There's been a lot of really great companies that have been advertising based, and they grew because they delivered value. It's a really fantastic spot to market, and you get that targeting with a good direct response. So yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that's that's the short of it.
no, and I think it's so it might sound so novel, but to your point, it's so simple. And I think the thing that resonated with me, even though we've spoke about a bunch about this before, but resonating in this moment is when you said it doesn't flaw. Like you're right. Like you know the open rate. You've seen many sends week in week out. You know what you're going to get. So when you go to that marketer or you go to that brand, you say like, here is probably what you're going to get versus on an algorithmic platform, short form, TikTok, IG Reels, wherever else it may be. We don't know. And that's like the positive. But a lot of the time, it's like, how do you project that? And how do you actually
Mhm.
scale that and then take that to your team and show that, oh, we're going to see X results? So I think that it is an amazing medium. You spoke about how there's a couple different ways you can go about telling your story as a sponsor or as a brand in a newsletter. Can you give some examples?
For sure. Yeah. I mean, some of the more fun campaigns, let me think of a couple. Because what you're getting for at least what we do and what I think has become pretty standard is you might get your logo somewhere, you get an image, you get some copy. But the ads that we like to write, we always try and say, like, let's use an example of somebody using it, whether it's the creator or somebody else in the audience or somebody else that they might work with. So as far as it being on the creator and the smooth side, we want to work with the advertiser to make that case study. And so it's going above and beyond. It's not like, hey, just give me your copy, let me slap it in my email. Let me in my voice give some sort of case study. Or can we teach our audience something? Do you want to be aligned? And a lot of the creators we work with are education, business, information forward. So this really aligns with a lot of our overarching mission and the voice behind the brands. But we want to say, can we teach something? Can you show the brand? Can you show the audience something and come along for the ride? And we think that that really helps position the brand in a way that people want to learn more and then go to click through. Um, so that's really for what we do, but we want to be original. We want to tell stories. We want to focus on people, and I think that goes back to high quality advertising. I think like the closer you get to like a simple display ad, is just the less you're going to engage somebody. And the more we can put into that, the same effort we put into the other 85% of the newsletter, we want to put into that 15% where the ad might be. And I think if you're a marketer listening to this, it's like working with creators that care a lot about their ads and say, hey, like I want this to be good for the audience too. Let's think about what they might actually enjoy, which is probably a lot of the same ethos you could take to other parts of influencer marketing. But you're working with a creative person, like let them also be a part of the process and come up with something cool for your brand.
When you work with brands for the newsletters that you and the team operate at Smooth, how often are brands coming to you asking for like top of funnel awareness and goals versus the lower funnel, the low, wow, I can't speak, the lower goals?
It's a lot of like top of funnel and mid funnel, I'd say. And so like we do try and look at where are we sending readers when they click through an ad, what kind of experience are we going to see them follow through to? But a lot of the brands, again, we most of what we do is B2B marketing. And so they're trying to get net new audience into their ecosystem. And maybe we can help them with that mid funnel, like creating the case studies, doing more like quote unquote branded content that could even click through from the newsletter to our website and give you more of that experience with the brand. And I think that's kind of what we have. We have distribution and we have that ability to say, let me just get your attention and pass it over. So yeah, probably mostly top of funnel, but a lot of the ways that we're trying to communicate more, knowing that the creators that we work with are multi hyphenates and they'll have their socials, they have their likeness, they have their newsletter, is how do we try and give that 360-degree experience to a brand to say, yes, we're a one stop shop for all these different channels, and we're going to be able to get your messaging across pretty efficiently. So the more that we can offer through that one, hey, tell us your goals, top of funnel, this, that, examples, we want to be able to help full stack. And I think like it's hard for one independent creator to do that on their own, but that's why Smooth can exist as an agency to say, hey, we're able to help on the execution side.
On the execution side, I think we've been speaking a lot about on the brand side, like why should a brand come in? How should a brand come in? What are the goals it should have? What are the benefits of newsletters? Give me a bit of the creator perspective. Let's say you and your team are working with creator X. Is the creator saying these are the categories, or these are the types of companies I'm cool with? Can any brand come in and find a way to advertise? How do you and your team go about that?
Yeah, it's part of the original setup. And then as you meet brands, you kind of narrow in your focus a little bit better. But we want it to resonate with the audience. And so understanding like, does this really belong for this? And again, we're very niche. So like if you're talking about published press with Colin Smear, it's like, should this business really be targeting creators? And usually the answer is yes, because there's just a very high interest rate and high intent to say that's how we're going to access this audience. We go, fantastic. That's what we're here to do, is connect the creator audience with brands that have creators as customers. Um, but every now and then a brand will come through, and whether it's the offer, whether it's what they're asking for and their expectations, it just doesn't really align. So I actually have found that creators are very good at not just chasing the quick money to say, yes, let's take on any brand. They go, if we promote somebody that's not a good brand, it's an impact on my personal influence and me as a human, not just like an objective company. So I think it's a really high bar that they should continue to keep high, to say, let's only work with brands we truly want to endorse. And that's why their influence is actually valuable, because they're not just giving it away for free to anybody. So we definitely have that. And it's one of those things you just figure out as a team over time. It's hard to predict, like, hey, let's go pull a list of 1,000 brands and scratch off which ones we don't think make sense. It's more, hey, this one came through. They've got some interest. We like the marketer on the other end. We have a good feeling. Here's the context. What do you think? And those conversations just go along as any other team would go
Yeah.
through one.
And so if I'm a marketer and I want to work with one of your creators today, like get into Ascend, run some branded content, what's the best way? Do I come with an email saying, hey, I'm interested in like being a sponsor or partnering with X creator, here's the budget that I have, here's the message? Or are there better ways for them to approach you and your team so that that start to that better storytelling with branded content can actually be a great process?
I think it's great to just start the conversation. You reply to an email, you fill out the brand partnerships form, you message me, and we start the conversation. And we just talk. We can send media kits. And then again, that's where we've been able to professionalize things a bit more. But even if it's not with one of the creators that we work with, you reply to an email like a reader and say, hey, I really like your stuff. I think that there's a chance this would really align. We've got this cool product, and I'd love to learn more about your offerings. Again, back to like the sign of the evolution, the sophistication of creators, it's them having a pretty good answer to that question and saying, I actually know what I'm offering you. It's not a come order off the menu and we'll come up with something custom every time. Like, I think from a creator and marketer side, it's best to say, hey, what are the more routine ways? What do you think is really something that you do fantastically at over time? And if we can then build on top of that with something special, whether it's custom content, a really cool offer, another way the creator can get involved, that's where the real magic happens. But having that foundation of something that they've been able to perfect, I think is good for everybody to keep the wheels moving forward.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
We're at 120. I want to ask one more question before we go. You've been in the newsletter space for a while. You've been working officially at Smooth for I think you guys had your 2-year anniversary sometime soon. So let's call it 2-3 years. You've been focusing on actually helping creators when it comes to their media services. and newsletters specifically, what's like one thing that you've learned over the past 2-3 years that's like surprised you about newsletters or surprised you about working with creators, good or bad?
Oh my God, there's so many. That was a quick 20 minutes. Good or bad? I think that a lot of creators work so hard for so many years to get to that opportunity to say, I can monetize my creativity. I might actually have something here. I can provide for myself, for my family, my team. And that team aspect becomes very interesting because, again, similar to the standard with the brands, they keep their quality of content very high, as that's why they made it there finally. And delegating, whether that's an advertising pitch or whether that's a newsletter that can be written, stretching their expertise beyond themselves can sometimes be uncomfortable. But I think that when you get a good taste of it with the right person, their eyes go wide and they go, "Oh my God, I can really do this with a team. I can have more people supporting. I can sleep easier at night. I don't have to do every single thing." And I think the way that you kind of transition from a creator feeling very independent to being like, I'm still independent, I'm still in charge of my game, this is still me, but I have a support system around me. Even when it comes to the marketers that I work with, it's great to form relationships with marketers and say, I'm going to keep doing a great job for you because you really understand what I'm trying to do with my creativity.
Mm,
So I think that turning point from like individual to having that support system is getting better, but it's like that moment is a really fun one that we like to take part in.
so cool. And I think, again, another good indicator for any of the marketers or any of the brands in here today listening in, it's, yeah, they might have a manager, they might have an agent, but if they're doing things beyond just social media and taking other parts of media seriously, it's a good indicator that they're looking to do this for a long time, and there's a lot of trust that's already being built. Josh, man, always a pleasure.
This is
You have
fun.
you way too much knowledge in this space. I don't think there's that many people above board talking about the newsletter space when it comes to creators and how brands can actually get involved. And it's not like a fun little sexy play. Like, this is something, to your point, they don't fail. Like, your open rates. You guys have a really good branded content process. The creators you work with are creators at the right stage at the right time. They're not just early creators that maybe have a million followers and now just want a random newsletter. So to anyone listening, would genuinely say reach out to Josh and his team, get to know their team, start talking about what could be possible, because there are some really cool things that happen. So, man, thank you for the 23 minutes. It's been a blast.
Thank you. Couldn't have said it better myself, and hope everybody has a good rest of the day. This was fun.
100%. So everyone else, next week we're back. Another weekly marketing webinar. We're talking to a guy named Brand Fishkin. You might have heard of him. He oversaw and he has a deep knowledge in the SEO and in the audience analytics space. We're going to be talking about what are audience analytics worth it or worthwhile in 2023, and how does that extend to influencer marketing campaigns. But enough out of me. That's next week at 1 p.m. Josh, thanks again for everyone listening in. Thank you guys. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
See ya.